And we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from in the world. Welcome to another High Vibe Conversation. I'm your host, 𝐏𝐡𝐲𝐬𝐢𝐜𝐚, and these are my amazing High Vibe ladies joining me today, minus one. We are holding space for her to enjoy the spa and her time off because she so needs it and deserves it. Today we're talking about love is not enough. And as I shared with you ladies just moments ago, is it or is it not? I have some thoughts on this, but I want to hear from you ladies first. I'm just going to go round robin right now, or this way on my screen, whichever way you're seeing it. Linda, what's coming up for you when we talk about love is not enough?
My first marriage, starter marriage of 33 years. There was definitely love and still working so hard to figure out why things didn't work or why things didn't get better. And the bottom line of that one was it takes two people in a relationship to make it work. Yeah. And I don't believe that marriage is a 50-50 partnership. It is definitely 100% that you give to a marriage, and if the other person isn't giving their 100%, that's when things really start to fall apart. And of course, as you do your inner work, it's like anything that's happening in your world is a mirror of what's going, awry in you. So there was a lot of inner work, especially towards the end of my marriage. All along, I was always investigating. So it's just like ownership, so that you don't step into the next relationship with the same issues, if you will. That's my take.
Yeah, I love that. And this is something that Stina has talked about before, when it comes to like both partners needing to be invested in it and wanting to be there and show up. And we've talked before about like if the other person isn't putting forth the effort or wanting to be there, then you're not going to waste your time anymore. I think that's really where it comes down to. Love is not enough, because you could love the person as much as humanly possible, but if they're not giving that love back, and even to a level of, if you don't love yourself or if they don't love themselves, then it's still not going to be enough to carry you both through. So Stina, can you expand on this a little bit more?
Sure. I was thinking as Linda was talking, that love is not a relationship. So that's a big thing that we get confused. And I would say a lot of it is pop culture or just our culture in general around falling in love. And, hundreds of years ago, marriages were arranged or they were based on your family structure. They weren't, you fall in love with someone and then you marry them. It was a political or a financial arrangement, and it was based on property as well. A woman was given as property to a man in marriage. And so it's relatively new, I would say, like in human history, that we base marriages specifically on love. But also, like, love is not a new phenomenon. And so I think all of that to say that love doesn't take work necessarily to feel. You may feel love for someone just as an emotional experience. It does take a lot of work to love someone for a long time, because you get disillusioned very quickly when you discover that someone is a real human with their own flaws and their own stuff to work through and learn. And it's more challenging to love someone that you're not in this fantasy world with. So a lot of times we have what's called new relationship energy, which can last anywhere from a month to 3 months up to a couple of years in a relationship. And when that starts to wear off is usually when people get kind of restless or bored, or they start sabotaging the relationship, or they just can't maintain the relationship because they find out that the compatibility really isn't as real on a daily basis as they thought it was, because they were just so swept up in the romance and the love and all of that. So we just were also talking about narcissism last week, and how narcissists can love bomb, which is just this pouring on of affection and attention and praise and all of those things that make you feel so good. And that's all great. Like, we all want love in our relationships and we want that romance. But when it comes down to it, like Linda was saying, you have to be willing to put work and effort into a relationship, because no matter what relationship we're talking about, parent to kid, professional, colleague to colleague, or romantic partner to romantic partner, those are all just comprised of two humans who, again, have their own flaws, their own things to learn, their own journeys. And it's messy at times, and it's amazing at times, and it's hard, and it's all of the things. It's a whole mixed basket. So being in love with someone or loving someone isn't enough to make a great relationship, because I can speak for myself here and say that, like, learning new communication tools with my partner is really uncomfortable, and it takes a lot of courage, and it takes you being willing to risk in a relationship, and being willing to, like, put yourself out there and be vulnerable. And sometimes it means agreeing, and it means, moving through periods of, like, disharmony or conflict. And those are all normal parts of just being in a human relationship. So no matter how much you love them or they love you, all of that is still there. So when you look at the totality of a relationship, there's just so much more to it than feeling love for someone or even being loving to them. Like, there's just a lot of skills that go into a relationship that go beyond that.
So much to unpack there. But going back to one of the first things that you said there, I love that term, new relationship energy, because I've never heard it referred to as that. A lot of people think of this as the honeymoon phase, that lasts for however long it lasts, and then it tends to wear off, and people then have to relearn each other and get to know the ins and outs of their relationship and how they navigate it. And this could also be like when the love bombing slows down or like comes to an abrupt halt because they no longer feel like they need to do it. And that could be problematic for the other person in the relationship who was used to receiving that. I love looking at it from that new phrase too, new for me anyway, the new relationship energy, because it is an energy force to be reckoned with. Not to like use all the word puns and stuff, but like navigating the energy space and your negative energy and your positive energy and the other person's as well is a relationship. It is a balance. And so it's about making sure that you're both, you don't always have to be in sync, but I think you should both be aware of what the other person is navigating too, even if the energies don't necessarily match. Dorrit, what's coming up for you when we talk about love is not enough?
First thought was falling in love is easy, staying in love is hard. That really takes work. Falling in love, that can happen in a blink of an eye. I mean, that can be chemistry, that can be someone that you just see and you just know. So that doesn't take any effort at all. But having a relationship like Stina and Linda said, that takes work from both parts, because you can't be married alone. So you need to have both sides working to make it function. Um, I've experienced both. I'm married now on my 24th year to the same man, and feel like a dinosaur. Um, but but I've also tried making a relationship work where I kind of tried to take the whole relationship on my shoulders and thought that my love was enough to keep the wheels turning, and if I just loved enough, if I just gave more, then it would work. Of course it didn't, and but I learned a very valuable lesson, and I took that with me into my new relationship then, and it has worked a lot better. That being said, it's not all honeymoon and butterflies and rainbows and unicorns here every day. Of course, there are things that we disagree on and things that needs to be talked about and worked on. I like to call them speed bumps, because when you come to a speed bump in the road, you have to slow down and you have to kind of maneuver over it, because if you slam into it full speed, something's got to give. Things will fall apart at the seams. So that's my best advice, is to kind of slow down when one of those speed bumps appears, and talk about it, have a good communication. That's super, super important. And of course, my favorite, the little things. The little things like just looking up from whatever you're doing when your partner comes home, just giving attention, writing little notes, little text messages, or whatever we do now. Not as much paper notes in the lunchbox anymore, but just things to let them know that we care, that we think about them, that we are here, that we give them attention, because lack of attention, lack of feeling special, that is one of the worst things in a relationship. And if you don't feel seen, if you don't feel valuable or heard in a relationship, that is one of the things that will really fast drain a relationship. And we are born that way. We are social beings, and we like to have attention, and we like to be seen and heard and appreciated. So getting that from our partner, that's kind of part of the deal. When you go into that relationship, that's what you want. You want that partner to give you the feeling that you really desire. So yeah, that was my thoughts.
I love that. Especially I love when you talk about the little things. We've talked about that more in depth. I think we all have. I think sometimes loving the little things too can get misconstrued. And where I'm coming with this is, what happens when you like the little things that somebody does for you, but you don't necessarily like that person? Like that I think can happen in a relationship quite often. Like maybe you just want to be taken care of a certain way, but you don't actually care for that one person specifically. It could be any person doing those things that would make you feel all good and warm and fuzzy inside. But like, that's a great example of love not being enough, because it's misguided, it's misdirected. Stina, I see you laughing. Are you laughing because of what I'm sharing?
I have such a vivid memory of I went on a couple of dates with a guy when I was dating, and like he was so sweet and he was so like worshipful of me. And it didn't strike me as like a narcissistic love bombing. It struck me as like he was genuinely like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Like, you want to go on a date with me? Like, and just, I was so flattered by his praise and attention. And I was just like, should I keep dating him? Because like I really like the way that he communicates with me and like treats me, but I was not like super attracted to him when we were together. And so like I kind of felt bad because I was like, am I just like using you for words of affirmation? But yeah, it didn't work out anyways. But I know that feeling of I like these things that you're doing or the way that you are loving me, but I don't necessarily feel the compatibility. I think that's the other part of it because we're talking about love, we're talking about working on a relationship, and then there's also just that element of actual compatibility with someone, which is, I think, kind of independent of love as well. Because I think that, like, when Dorrit was talking, I was thinking, yeah, I was telling my therapist something about my ex, and like, I want him to be happy. I want him to be successful. I want him to have a great life. I genuinely do. And I don't want to do anything that would, sabotage that or impact his ability to do that. I want him to have a great life. And she was like, yeah, you love him. And I was like, what? Like, that just like caught me off guard because I was like, what? And then I was like, well, that is in a way having love for someone to say, I genuinely want the best for you. And that's partly why I divorced him, was like, I am not going to be, I can't be a part of that best life, for him. And it wasn't because I wasn't willing to work on the relationship, and it wasn't because there was an absence of any love. It was that compatibility wise, things they weren't there the way that they needed to be. So you can work on a relationship till the cows come home, and you can love someone. And if you're just working with a baseline compatibility issue, it is an uphill battle.
Yeah, sometimes loving someone means letting them go or taking yourself out of it too, right? So I love that even your therapist called you out on it to be like, yeah, you still have love for this person, and you're just not together anymore. Your story goes separate ways, and that's okay. The other thing that's coming up for me right now, and in my experience with the little things of love, not necessarily the compatibility not being enough for me. I had been in a relationship years ago where he was a very nice gentleman, and he was always like buying me things, and a nice gift here and there is okay. Like I'm all here for it. Like, buy me something cool. You're thinking of me. But that's not my primary love language. And so it didn't always resonate or be, well, I'm not a good gift receiver, like a physical thing. Like, please don't ask me to open it in front of you either, because I won't be able to hide my disappointment if it's not exactly what I want. Like, I just won't be able to mask that. But like, I appreciate the gesture. The other thing that sometimes that fell flat was like, if you were constantly showering me with gifts, and one, you put absolutely no thought into it. You're just like, oh, here's a nice thing. But like, it wasn't something that actually you thought that I would like. You just liked it because you liked it, or you wanted to see me on it, or you didn't take any, like, there was some lingerie that was purchased at one point and it arrived. I didn't know it was coming because gifts are usually surprises. It wasn't in my size. It wasn't in a style that I particularly liked, but he was like, cool. Like, all right. I can't mask that either. I didn't even open it in front of him, but like, I definitely exchanged that for something that fit and was to my standards. And I still I appreciate it. I like the thought, but like, there still was no thought behind it necessarily. It was just the idea of giving me something or having something to give me. And the other aspect of this relationship, besides the constant barrage of gifts, two things actually. One was that after he'd give me a gift, he would complain about how much it costs or how he didn't have money to spend on other things. I didn't ask for the gift. So don't rub it in my face or make me feel bad that now you can't spend money on other things. I didn't take it back. If I didn't ask for it, I appreciate it, but I don't need it. I don't necessarily want it. Here you go. Like, all yours. Like, and then the third thing is that my family and friends absolutely loved him. They adored him. His family loved me. They it happened very quickly where I was invited to functions, he was invited to my family functions, and I just wasn't really feeling it. But like everybody else kept telling me how great it was, how like, when are we going to set a wedding date and get engaged? And like everything was just moving so fast. And I'm like, there's too many moving pieces and I'm not feeling any of them. So like, and then it felt like he kind of like was taken aback when I cut it off kind of abruptly. But like it was building in me for a while because I was trying to people please and make everybody else happy and go along with it. And well, like, all right, kind of, it wasn't an arranged dating situation by any means, but it kind of felt like, oh, well, maybe if I stay with it, the love will grow. The admiration, the appreciation for this person will grow. And yeah, I was just getting resentful after more and more of the things, especially the barrage of gifts that like, then he'd make me feel bad about. So yeah, that's my experience with all like the little things not being enough in terms of love. Like I appreciated the thought of it, but thoughts and actions and the compatibility just wasn't there for me. Whew, that's a lot to navigate, right? I don't think we've ever talked about that between our group. Anyone else got any interesting experiences going on here? Otherwise,
I just want to talk a little bit about our imprints about love and how we bring them into our own relationships, because we are imprinted as kids up to the age of 7. So what's going on around us is what we see and what we kind of measure everything up against as we get older. So in that, what did you call it, Stina? The
New relationship energy.
Yeah, the new relationship energy.
NRE is the.
Yeah, that's when people are not being themselves. They are putting on a show, so to speak, trying to get all the bells and whistles out to get this person that they have feelings for. But as we know, as time goes and things kind of cool down and everyday life comes, that's when they resort back to their subconscious programming from their childhood, and they could start snapping because that was what their parents used to do, or start arguments because that felt safe. I mean, that was what they experienced as children, and that's how they thought a relationship should be. So being aware of where you come from will help a lot when you move forward and go into a relationship, what expectations you have, and definitely talk to your partner to make sure that you're both heading in the same direction and one is not feeling left out. Like you said, Shell, and like Stina also said, that sounds more like a one-sided love. You know, the guy was more into it than you were, and you can't be in a relationship alone. So that's why it's not working. Yeah, you can't beat a dead horse, my grandma always said. So
And there's that whole awareness of self. You know, what are my core values, and what is my love language? And Dorrit, you're so great at teaching. What is your spouse's love language? Right? And like even in your book, You Are the Queen of Your Kingdom, you really point out, what went down when the spouse didn't recognize their spouse's love language, like even in your sister's marriage. So would you mind listing out the love languages, Dorrit? Like, or maybe even give quick examples, because like the example for your son is so like clear. You maybe tell that story on that one too.
yeah, I have a son. He is 30 years old now, but when he was a kid, he would act like a spoiled brat every time he got a present. He wasn't into it at all. It was like just flaring up the paper and just looking at it, and it's like, you know. And we were like, hey, we spent money on that. We that was a thoughtful gift. We've understood that you like those kind of things, and he wasn't showing any appreciation really. So his love language was definitely not gifts. All he wanted was quality time. He wanted us to come with him when he were doing the karate practice, or when he was playing games on his computer, or whatever he was doing. He just wanted us there. We didn't have to say or do anything, as long as we were together about the experience. That was everything for him. My youngest daughter, Ellie, she is 22 now. Her love language is like personal touch. Like she wants to be held, she wants to be touched, you know, and that closeness that you get. So when she was a little girl, she would come and sit on my lap, and we would sing or tell a story or read a book or something. And she said that, Mama, I need to fill up my cuddle tank because my cuddle tank is empty. So just sitting on my lap, just having that closeness, that was all she needed. And she was like, yeah, I'm good. And then she could run away. We have one in the family that has the gifts down, and she's showing it by she's buying gifts to everyone. And she's like a magician when it comes to gifts. Everyone gets the most magnificent gifts every birthday and every Christmas. Linda is the best gift buyer in the family for sure. We've actually suggested she do it for work. She's amazing. And her love language is gifts. She if we wrap a tiny chocolate bar, she will be blown away. That's just a gift. It doesn't matter what it is. She is so into it. And we have my second youngest, my Helene. She is 24, and her love language is praise and nice words. You know, she likes to hear that she is a good girl and that she's doing well, and things like that. So she was always doing her best at school and trying to come up with things that would kind of put the focus on her, so she could get seen and get the attention and the praise that she so wanted. And in when you have 5 kids, standing out is kind of a circus act, and everyone wants attention. So, but I used to take the 2 youngest with me when I walk my dogs, and have them alternate days, so they were really together, both of them. I used to take just one and one, like on a little date, and we would walk out in the forest or go to the beach with the dogs, and I would just be hers. You know, we could talk about everything and anything, and spend that quality time. The little one, she wanted to hold hands or sit on my back. The biggest one, she went through everything that she had done in school and wanted me to kind of praise it as it came along. All the things that she had done. So yeah. And my husband, he wants quality time. So when I'm busy doing the housework and things like that, he's like, when do you have time to come and sit down for a while? When do you think you can come and sit and we can watch that series, or we can? And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, okay, I'll come and sit. You know, the laundry can wait. Let me come and sit with you. Yeah. So
I love it. And what's your sister's? Because her first husband was constantly giving her gifts if something went wrong, and it definitely wasn't gifts for your sister. So what is it for your sister?
Yeah, my sister was actually married for 24 years. She got married when she was 18, and the man, the first husband, he was a businessman, really into the material being successful, earning a lot of money, having the two cars, the Alfa Romeos, having the big yacht, having the holiday homes, you know, going to trips to Sweden, as we say, to Spain and Turkey, or yeah, having expensive trips. So he was all about that. And every time there was something going on in the relationship that wasn't good, they had 2 kids together, he would just throw money at it. It's like, oh, you're feeling down, let's get a new couch. Oh, are you not feeling well? Well, maybe we should get new bikes. So it was always something like that. And when he started talking about what they would do for their 25th anniversary, there's like silver jubilee, as we call it here, my sister was just like, I'm suffocating, you know, I can't handle any more gifts. All I want is to be held and to be talked to and to be like, I'm here, you know, everything's gonna be okay, that kind of a thing. So for her, it's more quality time and the personal touch thing that is most important, because she was really lacking that for those 24 years. Yeah.
Thank you. For me, it's words of affirmation, and then my second is quality time. I'm still like digging into all of that. I do sound like your husband. That's for sure. How about you guys? Shell, do you know yours?
Quality time is my primary one, and acts of service is my secondary. Yeah, I say that because I was conditioned to like acts of service. My mom really appreciates having things taken off her plate, and I find that when I start to get resentful or frustrated in certain things that are going on, that's really what I crave, is like for somebody to just take something off my plate so that I don't have to bother with it anymore. But it's my secondary for sure, because I always appreciate that quality time first and foremost. And then if anybody can't show up in those first 2, then words of affirmation is my third, but definitely not the gift giving, and the physical touch is definitely low on the totem pole there for me. What about you, Stina?
I think that Linda knows that I am, let's see, I think the word would be pentalingual, because there's 5 love languages, right? My love is pentalingual. I've taken the test on the website and like gone through various assessments. They always come out almost completely equal across the board. So I am greedy. That is my love language.
You're a polyglot for
all of them.
The polyglot.
I am, yes, a love glutton, because it's hard for me to find like the common thread, I guess. Because it's almost like every day I just want like a little bit of each thing. And that's really satisfying to me. Like, I feel like I'm not very high maintenance, because it may seem like I want all of these different things, but I'm like, I just want a little bit of each one to like keep things nice and, I don't know, satisfied, abundant. Like, I enjoy all of the ways that I can receive attention. So that's my...
And also, then it doesn't get boring.
Yeah, right? In human design, Stina, are you taster somewhere? Taster? I thought you said you were taster. Well, that would fit between your Leo and your taster.
Just wanting like a little taste of things.
Yeah,
it's definitely a big part of my personality. Like, I have to have an experience before I know if it's something that's like really for me or not. Mm-hmm. And I find that like, if things are really like out of balance, like I'll just crave whatever I'm not getting. It's just like it's like a love diet. Like, I need a balanced love diet. So yeah, taster. And what was the other thing I was just thinking when you asked me that about human design? Oh shoot. Oh well, maybe it'll come to me, maybe it won't.
Well, it totally reminds me of taking the Dodge, I think it is, thing where it was really cool. We're like all standing in a room, and then they said, if you're like this when this happens, you go stand and they basically divided us up, or we divided ourselves up into 4 quadrants. And what I noticed is that I was because then within quadrants, it was like the more intense of whatever they were asking about, go to the back or stay in the front, or wherever we landed, like move to the front, go to the back. Anyways, I found that I was like, if you think about like how we are right now, if you go to the center, right? So I was in the promoter area. And then when they were like, yeah, like stand on a chair and go, yeah, I'm like, yeah, no. So that one brought me up to the front. And so right where I am right now, promoter, right where Stina is right now, director, where Dorrit is right now is analyzer, and where Shell is amiable. And so, yeah, I found myself close to all of them. And, then that was fun to figure out like why, and like, when am I more director personality, and when does director personality just like completely destroy me? So that was like super, super interesting. And my old business partner was amiable. And yeah, there was something there that was always kind of got us into trouble together. So I could let it go for just so long, I would imagine.
I was thinking that love languages, this would be like a hypothesis, I guess, that someone would have to test out, or we could say if it is true. But whatever the thing is, whether it's touch, words, whatever it is, when you receive that, my feeling is that it's a reminder of who I am. Like, it's a reminder of my deservingness. It's a reminder that I'm special. It's a reminder that I matter. It's a reminder that I have some significance in the world. Because I think for me, like, the opposite of feeling loved is feeling lonely. Like, it's not like being hated. It's just being alone, like not feeling like there's anything coming in to like receive. So it has that kind of emptiness. So when there's love around me, I can come in all of those different ways. And that could have also been part of like my growing up. Like, I got words of affirmation, I got quality time, I got gifts, I got all of the love languages were around me, and so it was like, well, I don't want to give up any of them.
And you don't have to.
And it's okay.
I think that's a good place to stop for now. I feel pretty complete with that, and full of love for you ladies, and for myself as well. So that feels good too. Tune in next week. We have an amazing guest coming on with us, right? Paula Burt is going to be here. So I'm looking forward to that conversation and more high vibe conversations to come. Jenny will be back next week as well. So if you missed her, have no fear. Jenny will be here. Tune in, follow along with all the ladies here. Give us a follow or connect with us if you're not already. And make sure to drop your questions in case you have any more. We will be sure to answer them. That's all I got for now. I think you guys are done too. So signing off until next week.